we constituted a new council and decided to do things a bit differently. We made a quick diagnosis and decided to set new exams, which basically we set offline. And we set them offline using different people. You would not get those exams anywhere on the internet.
Okay.
They were set offline because once an examination is online, you only need the experts to pick it. So they were set offline, through and through. Nothing was transmitted online. Whenever we needed to carry anything, we carried it kienyeji to where we were printing the exam. We proofread it there, and the corrections were done there.
Okay.
Because we started from the point of view of not trusting anybody, because you wouldn't really just know who was who. And then the second thing we did was to ask the managers who are there to go, followed by suitability interviews for all the staff. After the exams were set, we made sure that we conceptualized a system where nobody was going to see the exam before it was done. And the first thing we did was basically to secure the examination package. We put certain features in the exams, which I will not say here, but because we might use them again. They are very secure features, and basically in terms of packing, we had 4 layers to go through. Then we ensured that the exams were packaged and brought in pallets which were not interfered with.
Okay.
And when the day of the exams came, the exams for the day were checked and opened in the presence of all the principals, because we also said the school principals had to take charge of the exams from the container up to the school and back to the container. They would only hand the exam to the supervisor at the school.
Okay.
And all this time we had government agencies and security.
The question at this point, Prof, is how did you put up this team? Because this is the first thing you're doing. It's never practiced before. But how would you figure out this team and put it together? Because you had to get a credible team for this only.
You'll be surprised, but this team basically consisted of my council,
okay,
which I chair, and the chief executive officer, plus 1 or 2 other people, teachers that we identified from other agencies. It was that small team.
Okay, they're the ones who managed to do this. So before this even happened, before even the exams were taken to Kenyans, there was a lot of instability in the education sector. And one thing that rings top of my mind is the school fires towards the exam period. This is one factor that I think you stood firm, and you maintain the exams will continue, the schools will continue. But this was said to be the cartels. How much of a problem did you get with such disruptions?
As a strategist, even the best strategy can be overrun by culture. But for us, at the strategic, tactical, and operational level, we knew what we wanted. And our goal was to get exams which are credible.
Okay.
So all those issues of trying to ban schools and do all that was supposed to put pressure on government to close the schools so that maybe we can slow on what we are doing. And of course we said you can ban as many schools as you want. But this time round, even within my council, by the way, only 2 people knew the exams that we had made. We never released the whole exam to the council. That's how secretive or secret that was. So the issue of pressure, because we have evidence that some of these schools, the banning was actually engineered by some of the principals. Because you see, we found that, for example, the primary school exam had already been set and sent to the printer. And then on some investigation, I found that those exams were being taught in some schools. So we cancelled them.
And did fresh setting of exams?
Yes, we set new exams unfortunately, without involving our experts.
The usual persons who set the exams and the rest. So this was to minimize the leakage or the pilferage of this exam out there to the schools. Then the exams are distributed to schools, and the results are out. One, you did the unthinkable. The results for Class 8 was released quite early. Then right now, we have the KCSE already released. So untraditional in this country. Why did you decide to change that time period?
If you can take a bath in 10 minutes and you are not on holiday, why do you want to take a bath using 2 hours? Basically, if you have a task and the task has ended, let me start with the secondary school one, which has just ended. We were able to talk to our teachers and give them targets, marking targets, which some of them finished even a week earlier. Okay. The first paper to be completed, I think, was physics, and it was completed a week ahead of scriptures, which was completed on Christmas Day. Mm-hmm. Now, after all that is done, we took maybe another few days to just cross-check the results. Then why do you want to keep them?
For 2 months.
Why? Mm-hmm. And the danger is if when you keep them, there will be people who will be trying to influence and change the exam. That's why we went full blast.
So that's something you discovered?
Yeah. And
that it happens?
It definitely happens, unless if you are still doubting. Mm-hmm. Because take, for example, a situation where you have a class of 290 students. Then they tell you that 285 have got A's and A minuses. Mm-hmm. Is that not one of the most stupid things you will hear in your life? It is not possible anywhere in the world to get that. Mm-hmm.
So the question is then, what has been happening in the last few years? How comes we've had several schools scoring several A's in a national exam? What have they been doing?
Well, let me start with the loopholes at KNEC. At KNEC, we have established that originally access to our systems were open. Any staff could access the system, okay. Which means any staff could perhaps access the system and change anybody's marks for whatever purpose. That's one. But we also know for sure that there are many schools which used to get the exams ahead of time, and rather than teaching the children, they would just zero grace around the exam. To the extent that we know students saying, well, that one will not come. When you are teaching a child and he tells you, no, that one will not come.
Means
they know what's coming.
What's coming.
Yeah, and basically what also shocked me when I was supervising, because I did a lot, almost 30,000 kilometers during the period. You find students in a good school, 20 minutes into an exam, they are asleep. That does not happen in a normal setting. It means they were expecting something. And then another thing I want to tell you is that we noticed there were many fake exams which were being sold around.
Circulated around.
By some principals, mm-hmm. By some principals whom we knew. Some we dealt with, some we are still watching how far they are going to go. Okay. But luckily, since nobody knew even the format of the exam, they were using the old format. Okay. And they were not able to get to the exam. But again, what you must know is that we did not set questions out of the ordinary. We went into the past exam papers over the 10, 12 years.
And picked them from
yeah, so it shows you that people are not even, ordinarily a normal student should go back and read those things, because they cover the whole syllabus. You even if you were to read everything, you will not reproduce them. But it will give you a good state to get this one I can do and so on.
Okay, so the exams are out, Professor, and we see the results. We have 15%, about 15% of the total of the candidates who sat for the exams going to university. We have 85% who we don't know where they're going to. And having been at the university, most of these students will opt for the second module. One, the concern is, what happens to the 85%?
Well, that is the question that me and you and everybody has to answer together. Because you see, we are the ones who are guilty. It is not the children who have failed. Do you get the point? They were not taught properly. A sizable number of them were not taught properly. Like I've told you, I've gone through scripts of scriptures, history, maths, English. Why should children get 0.5, 0.2, 0.3 in papers? A child who has been at school for 12 years. So it is a wake-up call for us, in that I think the results of next year will be much better, because now teachers know that this can be done. Whatever, we have got middle-level colleges which are available, offering all manner of things, which are also good because they give you work to look after your family and yourself. Those children who would have done better but have not done so because they have not been taught, they can choose to repeat elsewhere.
Okay.
Yeah.
But that still does not explain what happens to Module 2.
Module 2 is not my main issue here, because you see, Module 2 will still survive. For example, we now have the only 141As. So if a child wants to do medicine at the University of Nairobi, which is the university, I'm sorry to say so, and most of those A's go to the University of Nairobi, and the university has a vacancy for another 50. Are you listening? Now, even though those children may have been taken elsewhere, if they choose to go to medicine which they want and pay for it, it is their democratic right.
Okay. But a huge percentage of the candidates, 85%, even if they were to repeat.
It is going to affect the Module 2 programs in universities, and that was not our intention. But I think we have a country to run.
But did you foresee it?
I didn't imagine that the rot was this big.
And this has just shown that the rot is too deep.
Yeah, I didn't imagine. When I found out that there were only 141 A's, we went backwards and checked again and again and again. And that's it.
141, nothing
That's
else.
141, yeah.
It also raises the question of the other things that might have been revealed by these exams, the past exams. For example, we have so many people in institutions right now. For example, in faculties that are very difficult and actuarial, we have medicine, we have engineers. And we have a lot of these people who pass the exams questionably now in those faculties. What happens to them?
The answer is very simple. If you got your pass mark from D to A in mathematics, and you got your way into engineering, you shall not make it there, because you need to go back to high school and get the basics of mathematics first. So they drop out. And the unfortunate thing is that when they drop out, that chance is lost for that particular year. And like I keep saying, time is the only thing we cannot save. So it is like a double loss. You have blocked somebody who maybe had a B who could have managed. You have gone there and blocked that person for that year. So that person, that engineer is not produced for the
But
year.
if they don't drop out, they're still in school, and we know their grades are questionable.
No, you can't. The professional courses, if you are average and they gave you a bit of salt, you might survive with a bit of struggle. But the kind of crookery we have seen, I don't think, and now having been a VC there for 10 years, I can see why there are some students who could not manage. And there is a sizable number. For example, in the medical school, we admit between 450 and 500. Go and find out the numbers that graduate.
At the end of it.
Yeah, you can see for yourself. Where do the others go? Because in medicine, you also need certain key subjects like physics and chemistry. So if they gave you marks which are not yours, there's no way you can start again building those blocks at the top. You have to go back and do them. Yeah. And even in your profession of law, you speak English and you insist on B in English. There are now lawyers who can speak English. Where do you think they came from? This is it. There are lawyers who definitely would not have gotten the B's or the A's that they claim they have. And yet your wisdom said you required a proper B plane in order to do law. But some of the lawyers now can't even argue in English. Have you picked that?
We see them.
There you are.
So it still doesn't answer the question, what happens to the whole system? Because this is going back how many years? So many years back.
We have started. I think we must bite the bullet by starting to teach our children, and I hope the teachers take it in good faith, because there are a sizable number of good teachers who are teaching, but let every teacher just do what he or she is supposed to do. Then from next year, it is not too late to correct everything. You will find that there's calmness in the university, because when you have so many students who have not gotten proper grades in the university, they are under a lot of pressure. And sometimes this leads to the instability in the universities, I'm sorry to say.
Are you certain that you will survive? Before I talk about the sustainability of what you and Dr. Matiang'i are doing, are you certain you will survive the onslaught by these cartels? Because you've effectively dismantled the ring. They will regroup and come after you.
Yes, they are welcome. I have lived a good life. I am a warrior. I'm not afraid. If today is my day and I happen to die, it is because God has said I should die. We are not going to back down. because I think it is our duty to redeem our country. Because it was getting to a point where having a certificate from Kenya is like a big joke. And by the way, it was true. Because now that, going by what I've seen, it is true. When people were telling our leaders that maybe if you are a Kenyan, you have to go for a, what do you call this, a refresher course, or you have to take an exam. And yet we have the best teachers, our children eat well, and there's no reason why they should not learn. It is just, I don't know where the A craze came from, but I don't think we should worry about it. What we must do is to seek atonement as we speak.
Okay.
Let everybody be serious. Up to now, from what I've heard, I think the parents have taken it well. The teachers have taken it well. But as you have said, the cartels might decide, because it is a big industry, to fight.
How much is it worth, Professor?
Well, the evidence I have is that some of the principals were collecting between 10 and 16,000, money that was not receipted for.
Okay.
And with this kind of money, you could corrupt your way into doing anything. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So if it's a big industry, it's quite a big industry. Mm-hmm. Even as early as yesterday morning, there was something going around saying that some KNEC officers want some soda to be sent to a certain number,
yes,
so that they can change the results. So we had to swiftly go and release them. But I think after we do this for 2 or 3 years, they will find out that it is not enough time. And the parents should not pay. What are you paying for? And then the parents should also take time to check whether their children are learning anything. I think we are too busy trying to make life that we forget about our children.
But it's the system that demands for excellence, not just good. Good is never good enough. So it's the system that our students have been cultured. If I have an A, I'm an exceptional student.
Who has told you? A, all over the world, is only gotten by a very small percentage. If you are going to use that to move the nation, we shall not move. That's it. What did you get yourself? Because I was very intelligent myself, I can assure you. I was heading my class at Starehe Boys Center for many years. When I went to Strathmore, I was squarely put in my place. And I was able to get an A here and a B there. But it didn't stop me from being what I want to be. Mm-hmm. So this, whoever glorified the A is actually the devil that has to be dealt with. It's not important. What you would like to see is, has your child got a B or a B plus or even a C plus, which means that has your child got over 50% in the subjects that he has done, which means he can actually progress to do whatever he wants anywhere in the world.
Okay. Let's talk finally about the sustainability of what you have been doing. Is it sustainable? Does it worry you eventually, because you can't sit here forever? Does it worry you that we might go back to where we were?
If the people, the parents, the children, the teachers, yourself, myself, the government, and KNEC decide that this is sustainable, and I think this is what we have decided for now, why should it not be sustainable? If you are still young, if you have a child, would you like that child to survive in life when you are dead? In order for that child to survive in life when you are dead, you must teach the child the skills and competencies to survive in life. You don't do so by stealing exams and showing the child. Would you like a child who can't clean the toilet because your worker is cleaning the toilet for him, can't make his bed because your worker is making the bed for him? When you die and he has nothing, how is he going to survive? That is basically, the examination process is only worth about 5% of the whole process of learning. So when a child stays in high school from Form 1 to Form 4, the teachers are supposed to have carried that child through the process of life. That's what we have to understand. And I think every parent requires that, and every teacher knows that. But I think, in fairness to the teachers, I think this madness started with a small number of them. And then there was a bandwagon effect. A bandwagon effect where now you must do it, because if you don't do it, you are not promoted. I'm being told that they were even being paid a certain amount of money for producing A's, which in my view was crazy, because then that money will be too small. Yeah. And finally, I would have said that a country like ours should have, for example, these 141 A's, sequestered these children and sponsored them to the high heavens. Because these are the people who should be doing research in future. to take us where we are going.
All right. Thank you very much, Professor, for speaking to us.
Yeah.
Thank you. And all the best next year.
Yes.
Asante.